Hello, welcome to another Becoming Modern Man. We are playing Blue-Black Faeries once again, and this time we've got a mirror match for you. We are on the play, Sir Opener, got Dark Click Shores, Double Polluted Delta, Double Mana Lake, Inquisition, Vendilion Click. Not the most exciting hand, but it seems fairly decent. Can strip his hand of something, and then we've got counters to deal with the rest. And then Vendilion Click's obviously a fairly big threat. So happy to keep this. Dark Click Shores into Inquisition. Seraphant's playing Chase, Bellerin, Repeal, Serum Vision, Slaughter Pact. So obviously some slightly different card choices in this Faeries deck. Obviously wasn't entirely sure it was Faeries at this point in time, but just obviously some sort of blue-black control deck based on the cards there. Kind of difficult to decide what to choose here. Nothing's super impactful. I think I end up taking the Serum Visions just so he doesn't have a turn 1 play. Taking Jace is also tempting, but we've got double mana lake, so we can sort of pick and choose out of after that. So I feel like taking away his turn 1 play and prohibiting from setting up further seems like a good idea. He just passed the turn. Plays a Watery Grave. Just going to run out this Delta, pass the turn. So land wasn't the greatest draw there. Don't particularly need a whole lot more lands. 4 will probably just about do us in this deck for the most part. Sprite is a nice draw. Might be able to count if he drops the tries to play 1 and just passes. Decides to Vendilion Click on the end of his turn, given that I don't think he's got a lot going on. And I think he missed a land drop there, did he? Yeah. So here we see that the opponent's drawn a Snapcaster Spell Snare and a Spellstutter Sprite since we last saw his hand. Obviously missing a land drop. So that seems fine setup. We're obviously not going to try and give him more land, so I think we're just fine with him keeping that. Snapcaster can't really do a whole lot on its own, and we've got counters anyway. Spellstutter Strike can get in the way of our Vendilion Click, but we can decide what we want to do about that. Potentially just Spellstutter the Spellstutter. So we've got an Inquisition here that we drew. I think we just want to run out of land and then attack. If he Spellstutter, then I think we'll just Spellstutter that. And then we've got a nice number of threats on the board. I think we just keep outside his third land, then passes the turn. Inquisition now, opponent Slaughter Pacts the Vendilion Click. Maybe we should have attacked first to see if that would have prompted the same response, but I'm happy with that. He's going to tap out on it, well, just about tap out unless he has another land drop next turn, so that seems fine. I could have tried to leak it, well, double leak, but that seems like a waste really. So obviously we knew what was in his hand already. I think we're going to look at taking the Snapcaster here probably. Jace is also a bit of a nuisance, but I think Snapcaster is probably more annoying in the long run. It sort of takes the clock off. Hunt repeals the Spellstutter Sprite, which we're fine with, I think. Doesn't seem like that's worth mana leaking somehow. So yeah, not doing a whole lot on his turn. I just run out the Spellstutter again, just because that adds some extra threat to the board. Means I'm dealing damage and actually pressuring the opponent rather than doing nothing. Another Vendilion Click off the top is pretty nice. Might play this on his draw step. No. Decided against it for some reason. It just seemed tempting to do that. The opponent spell snares the first mana leak. on the Jace. The second mana leak gets there. That's probably what we're aware that he had a spell, so now we know the first mana leak's not going to get there. So, I'm going to tap for 1. So I have to go the Vendilion Click on the draw step rather than the Mistbound Click on upkeep. I guess just because if we have 2 fairies out, then maybe we've got a better chance of sticking the Mistbound Click and not getting our creature killed. We also get a choice, and then if we take the Vendilion Click, when Vendilion Click back into play, we get another bite of the cherry at looking at his hand. I think we didn't see a whole lot there. Might be another spell stir in his hand, and a Serum Vision, so I don't think I actually look for things. Draw Thoughtseize, which I'm going to try and use. I'm just going to run out the spell stir to counter that, which is fine. Spell stir is a little annoying given the shape of, just because it trades with our Vendilion Click possibly. He's happy to trade spell stutters. I think we're just going to go for the Mistbound Click here. Champion in the Vendilion Click, and then tap down opponent's lands for his turn. Using with not a whole lot to do. Tap for 4, put opponent down to 9. Spell stutter here, which can counter a removal spell potentially, depending on what our opponent's got to play. Okay, so our opponent has a Liliana, which is somewhat annoying. Unfortunately can't counter that with the spell stutter because we only have 2 fairies, so we just have to live with that. And once to sacrifice a creature, I would much prefer to sacrifice the spell stutter, so I'm going to try and run that out. That has mana leak, which we can pay for, so that's fairly inconsequential. And we're just going to sack the spell stutter here. We draw Sword of Fire and Ice, which is awesome because we can hook it up straight away. And yeah, our opponent can see. So yeah, we could have hit him for 6 there and then killed off the Liliana with the fire side of the Sword of Fire and Ice. And then we'd have drawn an extra card as well and left our opponent pretty dead. Can't see him really coming back from that. So yeah, that worked out pretty well for us in the end. We managed to take control of the game, use the hand disruption and counter spell as well, and our opponent just couldn't really beat past us. So that worked out well. Let's go to game 2. So we've got Double Inquisition, Bitter Blossom, Island, Drown Catacomb, Dark Cliff Shores, and a spell stats to right. Looks like a pretty sweet hand. Any opening hand with Bitter Blossom is always pretty cool, and we've got some nice hand disruption to go along with it. From the Thoughtseize us taking away our Bitter Blossom, not going to get that going. So we've got to be aware of the fact that despite having cool cards in our opening hand, sometimes we're going to get hit with a hand disruption spell playing against this deck. So we Inquisition back, we see Sword of Fire and Ice, Slaughter Pact, and double Liliana. It's kind of a tough call. We can try and take out both Lilianas, given that we've got double Inquisition. Taking Sword seems not great. I mean, it is going to be a threat potentially in the future, but right now it's not something that I particularly need to deal with, and it's only going to be later in the game that I'm really going to be concerned about that. And same with Slaughter Pact, I don't think I'm particularly concerned about that. Spell Stutter can counter it basically regardless of how many fairies are on the battlefield, I think. But yeah, so I think we maybe take the Liliana here, hoping to take up the other one here. Slightly tough call, but on top deck's a Bitter Blossom, which is as bad as it could get for us really. So particularly as we draw a spell snare, which would have countered that nicely, but I'm going to take the second Liliana here, I think. Just pass the turn back. So opponent's making tokens. He also know about, which is going to work quite well with this bit of blossom. And on out. So we're getting hit here. Drawing lands, which isn't particularly useful. That's the thing about bit of blossom. My opponent doesn't really have to do anything else. He can just sit there and, you know, rack up tokens and start hitting me, whereas I am forced to take some sort of action to try and stop him. Do a great deal, unfortunately, here, particularly as we're drawing particularly badly as well. It's going to be difficult. We don't really have any answers to enchantments in our own deck, so that is an issue. Can drop sword. I mean, I don't see any point in dropping spells that we could, but it's not going to do anything useful. And yeah, our opponent's pretty much wrapped this up. I mean, I can kill a token that he tries to equip with a sword, but it's only going to be a temporary thing, and it's not going to last us very long. And we're already way behind. We're getting hit for a considerable amount by each of these tokens, and yeah, that's pretty much wrapped it up. So the top deck Bit of Blossom kind of killed us off, really, and yeah, shows you the power of turn 2 Bit of Blossom, even if it's on the other side of the field on this occasion. So we're going to be in the play here in game 3. So we've got Thoughtseize, Go for the Throat, Vendilion Click, Bit of Blossom. Seems like a decent combination. Again, if we can get this turn 2 Bit of Blossom, that'll be great, but obviously we've got to be aware that he might have turn 1 hand disruption. We get to Thoughtseize our opponent first, so we might be able to take out any hand disruption he has. Fortunately, it's not going to be a case here, as our opponent has double Thoughtseize, Snapcaster, Sim Vision, Negate. So kind of a difficult one. We don't really want our opponent to Thoughtseize us. I don't know if we can trick him into not Thoughtseizing us by taking something else other than a Thoughtseize. Snapcaster is always a nuisance, so you kind of want to take that, but I think we're just going to take the Thoughtseize, because if he strips our hand of Bit of Blossom and Vendilion Click, and we don't draw anything decent out of that after that, then we're probably going to run into issues. So I think we take the Thoughtseize here. And pass the turn. Thoughtseize away the Bit of Blossom. Draw Cryptic. Can run out of Carpet here. Don't really need to keep up Go for the Throat at the moment. And Serum Visions. And the Dark Click Shores. We're going to Vendilion Click on upkeep, on draw step. See what our opponent's working with now. So our opponent's drawn a Bit of Blossom and still has a Negate, Repeal and Snapcaster. I don't really want him to have that Bit of Blossom, and there's nothing I can do to counter it or anything in our current hand, so I think we're just going to get rid of the Bit of Blossom. Let's see if that's what we do. Yeah, so we force our opponent to bottom the Bit of Blossom. I don't really want him to play that. Could be a real problem for us. Plays Urborg. I'm going to try and get into 3 here. Conjure a spell sort of sprite, but I'm just going to kill that with Go for the Throat. Could have Cryptic to alternatively, but I think we're better off just get rid of that. Now we're just going to Thoughtseize, given that we can't keep up counter magic. And I think we're just going to take the Snapcaster away, leaving him with a Repeal and a Negate. Which, yeah, repealing our Vendilion Click isn't the best thing you could possibly do, so I think we're happy enough with him keeping that, and we're just going to get rid of the Snapcaster, I reckon. We also don't want him to Snapcaster Thoughtseize away our Cryptic, so that seems okay. So opponent repeals, so we just to draw an extra card. We play another tar pit, which is nice. We've got some extra pressure here in our man lands here, which our opponent currently doesn't have, which is very good for us. Particularly we've our opponent down to 13. We're going to click again on upkeep. So your opponent's hand, Serum Visions, double negate, sword, fire and ice. Could be crafty and try and get rid of his Serum Visions, but I think we're just happy with him keeping that hand. Sword's not doing anything for him at the moment, so we're happy with him keeping that. Negate's not really doing a great deal, but it's something to be aware of if we want to cryptic. He's going to have that negate up if he has the mana available, so going to have to try and play around that potentially. So yeah, just that hand. If you Serum Visions into something good, then obviously too bad, but it's just drawing a random card, which is kind of the same as Vendilion Click. But yeah, I suppose maybe there's an argument for just getting rid of the Serum Visions, giving him a random card and not on letting him scry for 2. So have 3 with the Vendilion Click. Decide not to Inquisition, knowing his hand. Tries to play Sower of Temptation, which we're obviously going to cryptic. Can't have negate up now, so just going to get rid of that. Draw into a River of Tears, draw a Spell Snare. Just going to get aggressive now, activate our tar pit, hitting for 6, put our opponent down to 4, which means we have lethal for next turn. Cast another Serum Visions and then gives it up. So yeah, that worked out fairly well. Managed to control the game. Tar Pit came in at the end to add some extra pressure, and managed to control our opponent's hand pretty nicely with a combination of hand disruption and Vendilion Clicks, which managed to win us through. So yeah, worked out pretty well.